Welcome to the New School of Marketing podcast, the place for smart, simple strategies that will amplify your business results. Sharing practical tips, insider knowledge, and actionable advice because marketing is something that every business owner can do. Now, let's get started. Introducing your host, Bianca McKenzie, mum, lover of snow sports, camping, horse riding, and in-demand launch strategist and Facebook advertising knowledge bank.
Welcome to the New School of Marketing podcast. I'm Bianca McKenzie, and today I'm talking with Yael Keon, who is going to demystify email marketing for us. Yael is an email marketing consultant with over 15 years experience working in international corporations, from high-level strategy right down to the day-to-day admin. With a unique ability to see the big picture and map out practical steps to achieve results, Yael now helps small business owners navigate their way through the world of email marketing, helping them find the right strategies and methods for their unique business. This is done through her email experience, membership, and one-on-one consulting projects. And an interesting fact about Yael is that her name means both mountain goat as a noun and to be efficient as a verb. Welcome, Yael. That's a really cool fact, actually.
Thanks, Mum and Dad. Yeah.
Well, I love to be efficient part of it. It's kind of like...
Yeah, my dad was there's a Hebrew name, and Dad's got this obsession with studying Hebrew, and he only just discovered that like a couple of years ago, and so he was very keen to tell me. So it explains a lot, really, about my personality.
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool. Well, welcome to the show, and I can't wait to sort of dive into all of your experience. Marketing and everything. So yeah, I've known you for a little while, and more specifically, I literally know you as the email queen. And we both know that email marketing is super important. Like, I know I talk about it all the time, and I know that's your thing. Can you tell the listeners why email marketing is so important?
Yeah, many people think, why is email, it seems so annoying, or it seems so old school compared to when you've got all these modern, sexy strategies like ads and social media and stuff. But still, to me, it just comes down to a couple of things. And that firstly is the numbers. The numbers don't lie. It has the highest return on investment of any of the strategies. So meaning for every dollar you put in, I think Campaign Monitor showed it as $44 back in your pocket. So I know when you compare that to the return on investment on Facebook ads, obviously that is a huge, huge difference.
Yeah.
In terms of numbers as well, it also has the highest engagement. So a lot of people worry, like, why would I send emails? Emails is like, email inboxes are just so busy, it'll just get lost. But when you compare it to something like social media, still it absolutely surpasses social media for engagement. So, for example, the average engagement rate on a Facebook post for a business page is 0.09%. So, such a small amount. So, like, one person per 1,000 followers will like or comment, etc. Now, that's just an average, right? So, obviously, there's definitely lots of things you can do to improve that. But if you compare that to just the average also of email, which has an open rate, aka engagement rate, of 21%, that's huge, 213 times that level.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but again, coming back to this efficiency thing, I want to be investing my time and my effort, especially as a busy mum who has a 5-foot hubby and has stuff going on. If I'm putting my effort into marketing, I want to put my time into something that is going to convert the best, that is going to reach the most people, and also, I can use automation for as well, which I haven't even gotten to. So that's what it's about to me. It's the numbers, but it's also, to me, it's about that ultimate efficiency and just getting in front of more people and getting more sales as a result.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Email marketing, and I know I am a Facebook advertising manager, but I would definitely put email marketing at number one. Do that before anything else. So,
and that's what I say to people as well, is if you look at any marketing expert, no matter what their specialty, Instagram or Facebook or ads or SEO, everyone still says build your email list.
Yeah. Yep. It is definitely, it is the thing that gives the best return on investment. Plus, you're more in control of it in a way. Like, you don't control who sees what, who sees your post on Facebook. Facebook's in
No,
control.
and we could compare it to Facebook ads. Like, I know you know more than anyone, like the struggle sometimes with Facebook not approving some things and then putting your account to review for just no reason, and then you're stuck. And email is the ultimate backup to all of that.
Yeah, it's the backup, but at the same time, it's also the backbone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as with most things, getting started is often the biggest hurdle. And I see that with a lot of people are like, oh, I wish I'd started earlier, but this and this. Can you give people some tips on how to get started?
Yeah. So, of course, doing it yesterday or 2 years ago or 5 years ago was always a good time to begin. But today is just as good. It's better than looking at it in a year's time and going, I wish I started today. So I guess the first thing I'll say is you don't know what you don't know. And so first, people look at email marketing and think it's this really big, technical, complicated beast to grapple. And so they don't even begin. So automatically at the beginning, you're thinking it's like this huge thing, when really you don't need all the bells and whistles to start. You can start really, really simply. And, the tools we have available to us make it really easy. So the first thing I just want to recognize is that you don't need to do everything straight away. You just need to layer it in. So actually the first thing I recommend is actually outside of your email marketing and the tech setup. And that is firstly to get confident that you do have something to send. Because if you realize, okay, actually I've got an amazing message to share, I've got all this great stuff I can send my list, then obviously you're more inclined to do it because you're starting to get excited and you're feeling confident. Okay, yes, I've at least got a few weeks of emails up my sleeve that I could send that will be really great emails. So brainstorming the ideas, becoming aware of some of the possibilities in terms of automation so you can see where your business can go with it. And then in terms of actually the practical setup, I don't believe you need to start with having a really amazing opt-in incentive or lead magnet, which is like you've seen, like a PDF download, etc., that people promote. You don't have to start with all that. You don't need to have fancy things. All you need to have is a benefit. And the benefit is whatever it is that you're sending to your email list on a day-to-day basis. Don't call it a newsletter, but spin it, create a pitch around joining your list based around all the good stuff they're going to get as a result of joining your community or your club or whatever other fun name you can come up with. Craft a pitch, and then literally it's just a matter of putting a form on a page on either your website or through your email software and writing one welcome email. You just have to start with one email, and then you can write one email a week or however often you want, and just start adding in. You don't need to have the biggest sales funnel. You don't need the lead magnet. You just start with that, start building a list, and most importantly, start listening to your audience and see what they respond to. Because I guess another thing is as well, people worry about, I don't have anything to send. I'm worried that my emails are really bad, and they overthink it.
Yeah.
Even if you've only got 3 people on your list and you're sending emails, you're finding that voice, you're practicing, and you're building up, and you'll get more and more confident as you go.
Yeah, exactly. And just a little sort of side note is that I never tell people to, I always tell people to never do this from their normal email account. There is email marketing software, and I'm sure that we're going to touch on that a little bit later. But yeah, don't send it from your normal email account because there are rules around this. You've also touched a little bit about, overthinking it and not knowing what to send and things like that. And I even have writer's block, and I've been doing this for a few years. Do you have any, can you give us some ideas of what to send when you kind of are stuck and don't know what to send?
Yeah, obviously it's different based on different businesses and what you like to talk about, what your audience relates to. So again, this just comes back down to having that big brainstorm at the beginning and getting confident. So look up all the resources. There's heaps of resources online for email ideas, this and that. I have a bunch myself. So think about them for your industry. I also like to encourage you to think beyond just your specific product or service. I know this comes up a lot for e-commerce businesses where they're like, how many different ways can I talk about moisturizer? And the key is not to think just about talking about your product, but think about who is the customer of that product. What are they interested in? What short stories can you share that you can have in common with them and that will perk their interest and create some personality around your brand? So you do need to expand your viewpoint to start adding some creativity to those emails. So you don't need to be stuck there. Another great trick that I really like to use is coming up with themes. So just from a totally side note, recently I've been starting to get involved in a kindy play group for my 4-year-old, and each of us take turns in terms of coming up with ideas for what to do with a whole bunch of 4-year-olds for 3 to 5 hours, which is a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What we found is if we are trying to just look at a whole library of stuff, what shall we do today? You just come up blank because you're just worried. You're like, I don't know what to do. But then you go, okay, what about a theme? So if we had an undersea theme or a farm theme, then all of a sudden you're inspired. You can start Googling what could I do that's related to a farm theme, or look at stuff you've got, and all of a sudden you get these ideas. So it's the same with email, right? So if you think, okay, here's my promotional calendar, or here's the main things I want to hit on each year, what are some of the themes that go along with those? What are some of the topics I can talk about 1 month at a time? And then what ideas inspire me about that? So you can just easily go, okay, what's the biggest challenge my audience has when it comes to that? What's the biggest question I get asked when it comes to that? Or what's a tip? What's a story I have? What's a bit of a rant I can have? Or what's a pet talk I can have around that? So you can it just makes it easier if you, instead of thinking about all the things you can think of, okay, go this month, I can just think about this topic area, which can hopefully logically lead to some sort of offer. It can just make it so much easier.
Yeah, I love that. I actually have your what to send when you don't know what to send, and it's so helpful. But I love the idea of, like a theme. And I've done it before where I've written series of things. It's like, all right, I've got this topic, but if I handle that topic in one go, it's going to be a massive beast. So why don't I break it down in chunks? And that has helped me as well with coming up with, other sort of spin-off topics and things like that. And I don't know if you do this too. Every time I get an idea and I can't action it straight away, it just goes into like an ideas vault. It's like, I'll just park it there, and because I come up with these ideas in the most random times when I can't really do anything with it. And so I just park it somewhere, and then you can write about it later.
You'll come up with it in the shower, wherever. Yeah. I have a spreadsheet because I'm a spreadsheet kind of person, where I have kind of my plan of ideas, but then I also have another tab which is just like all the ideas,
brain dump.
And then I'll copy and paste into the main one as to when I'm going to slot it in.
Yeah, I do that. I do that too. And, sometimes, the ideas might not roll, and that's when we can just take it from that list.
Yeah. Or take it from socials. What's social posts? All that kind of stuff. And repurpose. Totally. You don't need to write everything from scratch.
No, not at all. Reuse it. Reuse, reduce, recycle.
Yes.
So some of us might have a list, but they might have kind of like ghosted them a little bit and not actively sent them emails. And I know a lot of people who have done that, and they worry because they kind of go, I need to start sending it again. How do you re-engage your list? How do you start sending that again when you haven't sent them anything for a while?
Look, it happens a lot, and that's okay. Like, we all just can start from where we are today. So don't beat yourself up about it. Just be like, okay, you know what, I can start fresh. So where I recommend beginning is starting by setting the vision. So firstly, yes, re-engaging audience with an email. And the first couple of emails, when you are out of nowhere, I recommend sending a pure value. You are not asking for any sort of sale or anything like that. You're just trying to reconnect. So the first one would just be some sort of reintroduction. Just remind them how they got on your list, so they don't think, oh, who's this random person? So they go, oh, that's right. And also sharing, perhaps talking a bit more about your vision and what you've got coming up, what you're excited about coming up. I mean, we're in still kind of this COVID bubble. So that's a way, could be a launching pad as well. So it's sort of like, okay, well, I've been absent because I've been in lockdown and stuff's going on, or it's just been really full on. Everyone gets that. You don't need to explain yourself, though. You just need to see, like, through this time I've had to reflect, and I've had to be in the kind of, I'm so excited to begin sharing with you this, and this. And I'd love for you to come on that journey with me. As part of this, there's two things, though, that I think are really, really important. The first one is don't say sorry. Please don't flag up. A lot of people won't even notice. So the amount of people I see that send an email and go, oh, so sorry, I haven't contacted you for 3 months. I wouldn't have known it's been 3 months.
Yeah.
don't apologize. And especially makes it worse if it's been like a few of them like that, people begin to realize. So just don't apologize. Just be like, own where you're at. And the second thing is, in this first email, it's a really great opportunity to ask a question. So something as simple as, when it comes to whatever your topic is, whatever your vision is, what's their biggest challenge or frustration, and ask for them to reply. This does two things. One, it gives you great ideas for content and it creates that reconnection. And two, it also sends some great signals to Gmail and Outlook that, this person's sending good emails because people are actually replying to them. So it will help you with your deliverability if there was any kind of issues going along there. Now, you might not get any replies. You might only get one reply. That's totally fine. But the act of even showing that you're willing to engage personally with your audience is really, really huge.
Yeah.
And then based on that email, the next couple of emails can be just purely in response and go, hey, thank you so much for answering this question. I see one of the biggest issues for you is blank. Here's how I can help you. Here's some ideas I have on that. Here's a couple of tips. And just leading into that, showing that it's a two-way thing, and then going from there and just taking that as your jumping off point. So I call that a value bomb email, because you're really hitting home with what something's really, really helpful. So you're starting leading with value first, and then sharing, and then go into the usual thing. Now, of course, you will probably get a higher rate of unsubscribes for this first couple, because you've got people who would have had a natural churn over the last 3 months, 6 months, a year. Yeah. So it's just an accumulative thing. So don't freak out if you get a little bit higher. And in fact, after probably about 6 to 12 emails, I would recommend doing a cleanup anyway, of people who just aren't opening as well, because that will help in terms of deliverability, all that good stuff.
Oh, I love all those tips. I'm like frantically sort of like making notes. It's like, all right. I really love the second email in response. It's like starting a conversation in a way. It's kind of always a bit weird to think about email as a conversation because it seems so one way. But yeah, like opening yourself up to have a conversation and to be available for your subscribers. I really love that. Thank you.
Well, it is a conversational medium. Unless you're writing really professional, legal kind of corporate emails, what type of emails do you write to your best friend, to your mum? They're just conversational chats. Yeah. They're the emails that people read. So we need to remove this thought from our head that they have to be these big, fancy newsletters with all these graphics and 10 links to click and all this stuff. And go, you know what? I just want to send something that someone will take actually that minute out of their day to read, and rather than looking at something going, I'm overwhelmed. I have best intentions to read this, but never get to it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I have that sometimes. It's like, there's so much in there. I'll just file it away and then forget about it. Oh, that's really good that you sort of said that, because that sort of leads into my next question. So email marketing, it doesn't need to be difficult. And in fact, there are actually lots of ways to make it easier through automation. And you've touched on this a little bit before as well. I'd love for you to sort of talk a little bit more about automation, what it is and how you can use it to make your business life so much easier.
Oh, it is the best thing ever. That's all I have to say about automation. Okay, so automation in a nutshell, as when it comes to email, is very simply saying, if something happens, then this happens. So the classic example, one you know all about, is when someone fills out the sign-up form on my website, they will get sent an email that delivers them this free PDF. If that happens, then this happens. Most email software allows you to do that. It can start getting really, really powerful when you start talking about all the ifs and all the thens. And honestly, the possibilities are endless when it comes to this. But it's really powerful if you think about, okay, so I can begin sending emails to this specific subscriber when they have taken an action. So when they're most interested in doing something, in taking action. So another example, of course, is the abandoned cart. Everyone's seen abandoned cart emails. Because they actively were going to buy, and then they just didn't take that final step. So you are talking just to that person there. But you can also go further with that. Like if someone just browsed, look at a certain page, look at your service page, look at your sales page, you can see who did that, and you can do a personal follow-up if you like. You can do a whole range of e-commerce ones, like replenishment reminders. If that moisturizer, should run out in 3 months, you send them an email at 2 months asking, do you need a refill? Do also win back. So if someone hasn't purchased for a while, you can do that as well. Of course, there's the welcome series, which we've talked about. There's post-purchase as well. Imagine, which people forget, like imagine sending an amazing customer service series of emails after someone purchases something. Like, this is how to use it. This is how to get the most out of it. Or just a simple like, hey, do you have any questions? I'd really love to help you. And it's all just done automatically. So a lot of people say, oh, I don't have time for email. But this is where it really starts saving you time. And even if at the beginning you focused on automating some of the things that you were doing on a daily basis, all of a sudden you'll start buying back time to spend investing in writing some of those emails.
Yeah.
Personally, myself, even I have like 12 weeks when someone first signs up to my list where they will get an email from me every single week, just basically a best of content tour. That's all automated. So I know if I skip a week or something to my newsletter list, I still know those people who are new, who are really in that active, engaged, absorbing state, they're getting stuff. So there's so many different things you can do. I have whole section on this in my membership, showing how to set it all up. But it really just comes down to thinking about, if that happens, so if there's some sort of trigger, something that goes on in my email software or on my website, then I can take a certain action.
Yeah.
So I can send certain. Yeah.
I think I'm only scratching the surface of it, to be honest, in my email marketing.
I'm still scratching the surface of it, and I know what I'm doing, and it can get the possibilities are more than what's there. And that's the key as well with your email software. Like having the right email software will make it really, really easy for you, because a lot of them will have these recipes and these things already made up for you, and you just need to take them and adapt them to make them your own. So so that can make it just really, really easy for you. You don't need to start from scratch.
No, and that's really, really good. Mind you, even when I think like I need to build out the next sort of part of my automation, I'm like, oh, overwhelmed. But it is really good that you're like that you can really do it. So you kind of mentioned that there are sort of inbuilt recipes in stuff in the software. Which marketing software should someone use for their emails?
The question I get asked all the time.
How long is a piece of string?
And the answer that everyone loves, of course, is it depends.
Yeah.
There's so much to making this decision. But at the same time, I don't want you spending too much time on it, because a lot of people stress about this and I think like, I need to, figure out what's exactly the best one to me. And like, to be honest, it's just the one you're going to bloody use. So start using it and then get started. But to have a better answer, to give you a starting off point and go, okay, which one do I even try? There's a few things you might want to think about. Like obviously, are you really just starting from scratch and all you want to do is have a way for people to sign up, get a little welcome and send your regular emails? Then you might look at one of the basic ones like a MailChimp and MailerLite. If it was me, I'd lean more towards MailerLite just because they offer a lot more on their free plan than MailChimp does, and it's actually easier to use.
Yep.
But if you're more established and you want to start layering in some of these sexy automations, then you might want to look into something more advanced. Another thing to think about, of course, is your business type. So if you're e-commerce versus services versus selling digital products or offers, that would be different as well. So there are now ones dedicated to e-commerce business like Klaviyo and Omnisend, which are really, really great. And speaking of those recipes, you could put together a whole bunch of e-commerce automations in like 20 minutes if you want to, in like something like a Klaviyo. So it costs more. It has a fee, but honestly, it should pay for itself.
It does all the things.
Yeah, it does it for you. For services, it depends on how fancy you want to get. Like I love ActiveCampaign personally because it gives me all the toys to play with in terms of automation. And it does have all the recipes and things, but it can be overwhelming for some. So that depends there if you want to have all that stuff, or you just want to stick with a MailerLite that's a bit simpler, or a Flowdesk maybe a lot of people are starting with. And starting that up with your services. And then there's the digital ones as well. So there are also platforms that are leaning more towards digital content creators. So things like a ConvertKit's kind of tailoring a bit more to that type of thing, or a Kajabi if you're going to have a delivery platform with it together as well. Yep. So you can think about it in terms of the type. So they're kind of a starting point. The other way to look at it is just like what you need it to integrate with. Like it needs to integrate with your website or your e-commerce store. So you can just do a quick Google this, Shopify and Klaviyo and see that if they work together without having to use a third-party thing. That is not necessarily be all end all, but it's just handy to have that direct thing. And usability, again, like if you've just heard a couple of names you thought, you know what, I might try this one and this one, just give it a crack and see if you like it, because some people like the way some things are laid out and some people don't, and it just comes down to personal preference.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, but the last consideration is price. Like a lot of people are about how much is it, and really price is not an issue for me. I know if you've got a really huge list, maybe it is kind of a really big thing, but we're talking back to that return on investment. If you're actually in your system and you've got some of these automations come up that are capturing some lost sales, it should pay for itself 44-fold. So
yeah, that's how I see it as well. It's a business investment because it is going to make your life easier and it's going to bring you sales if you utilize it properly.
Yes, lots of sales, hopefully going all well.
Yeah, so, that's how I think about it.
But if anyone has any more specific questions about that, they can reach out to me. But it is just really give something a go. It doesn't have to be perfect. And it's actually not that hard to change systems, especially if it's just when you're right at the beginning stage. So if you start with something you're really like, I'm not a fan, you can
change it. Yep. Yeah. I started with MailChimp back in the day, and then I moved to ConvertKit, and I have looked at ActiveCampaign, but right now it's in the too hard basket, and I know you've changed a few times. But yeah, it's not a tattoo. You can change, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and MailChimp kind of, because a lot of people default to it because it's the one that everyone knows. It's the biggest one.
Yeah.
But if it was me, I wouldn't go with them just because they're just they're not as seamless as these other ones.
Yeah, there's a few limiting options, and that's exactly why I changed.
Yeah, and I was ConvertKit first with my business. I've worked with MailChimp for other businesses, of course, and I ended up moving to ActiveCampaign just because I wanted more toys. I started getting a bit more fancier.
It has everything.
Yeah.
And Yael has lots of blogs and things on her website as well. So if anyone wants to know more about this, because I know you've blogged about your move from ConvertKit to ActiveCampaign. So
and it's also a great one there. A much longer version of what I just talked about there in terms of choosing the best software.
Okay, well, that's really good. All right, so I'll link to that in the show notes so people can find that. All right, now I want to know, so this is my question to everyone, what are you curious about right now?
Yeah, I was kind of like, curious about and this is kind of a hard one because I'm really in launch mode at the moment, so it's like everything's focused around that. But really, I guess it's around home for me. I mean, we moved home about 4 months ago and bought a house, so now it's really about decorating and just fixing up the house and just trying to also establish kind of routines around the new place. So it's all about that home life systems, making sure everything's decluttered and nicely put together, and watching like YouTube videos on how to keep the house clean, all that really geeky stuff.
Yeah. No, that's fun. That's a fun part about owning a home, really. You can do whatever you want with it, which is awesome. I love that. Cool. And if you had an extra $1,000 in your marketing budget, what would you spend it on?
Yeah, I don't know how many people answer this with this, Bianca, but definitely ads for me at the moment. Again, coming into launch.
Yeah.
My last webinar, my last launch did really well in terms of conversion. So it's like, okay, how many people can I get to show up?
Yeah.
The more money I can put to get more bums and seats and more people involved in the launch and seeing the good content, the better for me at the minute. So
I love that. And I if sometimes it seems like I put this question in so that people would just say ads, but that's not why it's there. But I love how what I do and what you do goes so well together, because I know that you say, like, now you say I want to put it into ads, but really the ads are there to drive people into your email marketing platform, right? I mean, that's the main thing. So here's the thing. Even if you do ads, it should be to get people on your email list.
Yes, and I first started out with your list building ads course in terms of my first list builders. So I've been playing with list building ads ever since for many, many years.
Yeah.
Now it's really about that launch kind of ads process.
How can you?
It's like a whole another level of investment.
Yes, it is. But yeah, like I love it. So
I'm trying to just have faith in the numbers, which is the scary thing.
Yes, it is all in the numbers, isn't it? But in a way, it's kind of good too, because it turns into maths and it becomes predictable in a way once you know how it works. Awesome. Yeah. I love it. So that's the end of this week's show. If you have any questions about email marketing or any of the things we talked about, I will link to it in the show notes, but you can head over to yaelkeon.com as well and find everything about that. A really big thanks to you, Yael, for being on the podcast.
No, thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun to talk my favourite topic.
Yes. Oh, I love talking about this too. So, and you're exactly the right person to talk to. Awesome. Thanks so much to you for listening. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you heard the podcast. Your review will help others find the show and learn more about the amazing world of online marketing. And don't forget to check out the show notes for this episode at newschoolofmarketing.com, where you can learn more about Yael, check out useful links, download free resources, and leave a comment about the show.